50 years of my life. I come from a mining family and I was born in Karvina in 1970, in the Raj Hospital, which is a good start for my life, to start in paradise. I grew up in the town of Orlova, where all the miners from the area lived. My father was sports-oriented and I started playing sports when I was 5 years old, with football and hockey. Hockey had the disadvantage that the training was always in front of the school, so it had to get up quite early, but it was great and we always went to school in a good mood. So I spent more of my youth in football and hockey stadiums, which means training during the week and matches at the weekend. This rhythm lasted undisturbed until I left for the war in '89. Despite my sports workload, I had little and I started playing karate at the age of 17, because I chose the Shotokan style. So my fighting career starts in '87, when I strapped on the white and yellow belts relatively quickly in one day. I also took part in several races, but I was always more attracted to kumite than kata. This remained until the war, where a few colleagues and I began to invent and combine boxing with karate and kickboxing. Then there was not much information about martial arts and the internet and social networks as today. We could only dream. I had everything I needed from Poland. There were always information first. I trained regularly and my first coach, actually a street fighter Wojtek Kosik, gave me the best school I could have. With a few exceptions, I'm self-taught. Personally, I never fought and I didn't look for fights either, but I enjoyed the contact. So at the military service in Prešov, I trained kickboxing whenever possible, and after my transfer to Žatec, I started attending the local karate club. The main reason was also to leave the barracks and clear his head. Even with the boys on the reconnaissance company, we always fell into the field and tried the ninja pieces that we saw in the film, because there was no controlled activity or program for training in self-defense in the army. I started practicing the boys myself, because I was closest to it and the boys liked it. There was an alarm once in the barracks, because one of the smugglers got drunk and started flying around the buzzer place, with all the knives and, of course, coming to me and saying, "Stan, run, you can do it." I pacify him. So I went without knowing what I was going to do to him. I saw him from a distance and slowly approached. I saw that I had a large kitchen knife in each hand and he was still moving forward in my direction. As soon as we were a short distance from each other, I raised my hands with my palms open and told him with a smile, "Fuck it, Franta, you're a shortly go for the civilian life, it's not worth it." Franta looked at me and fell to the ground. I looked at him, looked at my palms and blew into them as if they were burning me. The boys just looked in the distance and then asked me how I did it and my answer was, "It is secret." So here I began to realize that resolving a conflict is not always by brute force, but it is different. I didn't warm up in civilian life for very long, and at the beginning of '91 I joined the Foreign Legion and, after receiving, directly to the paratroopers in 2 Rep in Corsica. I will not forget how we entered the barracks of this mythical regiment 2 Rep. And as it is done with all the young legionnaires who come to serve in this unit, so with the entire field equipment, a patrol of the entire unit is carried out. We started with a tour of the garages where the 3 legionnaires were just leaving. 2 were very high, around 196 centimeters, and the third below 170 centimeters. We passed, and one of the tall ones told the smaller one, "Dominic, show the young legionnaire how we're doing here." Dominic, without delay in uniform and shoes, kicked the big one with a jump over his head and not even his beret fell off. That was something for me and I thought I was right. Later I met this Corporal Dominic Vanderberg on the same 4th Company and we met more often for some time. Today she is a Hollywood star. So in 2 Rep I started training American kickboxing. In 2 Rep we had a training section that I was in charge of after a short time, so I could devote myself fully to my free time in kickboxing. It is true that free time was not so much mainly for a young legionnaire, but when I got into a special GCP unit, everything was different. But I'm ahead of it, so gradually. Already as a young legionnaire, I excelled in sports and especially in martial arts. Of all the internships, whether commando or internships for a corporal or a sergeant, I have a story. For example, during an internship at a corporal, we had an aggression test as a compulsory discipline, and in the ring, after continuous physical fatigue, we had to show what else we could do. It wasn't even about techniques, but more about not giving up and moving forward. It turned out that I boxed twice and I gave KO twice. Then they told me that they wanted to ban boxing. It was the same on the sergeant's internship, and as I remember on the commando's internship, I had only 2 instructors in the last part of the stress tests to destroy me. Unfortunately they didn't succeed and they just told me when I reached the finish line, "You're not human, you're alien." This came in handy after training the Presidential Guard in Central Africa. So I trained in 2 Rep and organized boxing tournaments every year during the legionary free time. I had the opportunity to be a multiple 2-rep champion, and it was a beautiful feeling to hear my colleagues cheering and pushing us forward. It is also true that together with my Polish friend Maja, we were also among the first members of the kickboxing section in 2-rep, because the others in the club did not train much either. Dominic, he mostly trained alone. So Maja and I put on a good time and trained what it gave. We went on internships mostly in Corsica to my friend and multiple world champion Dusan Anderelli to Ajaccio in southern Corsica. I also participated here and in one day had the opportunity to train and box against Tucson and also the multiple world champion from Canada under the nickname Iceman, and that is Jean-Yves Theriot. It is an incredible experience for a boy from Orlova. In '96 I got 1 Dan of the ISCA Federation. I also took part in the French Championship, where I finished in the semifinals. The hard part of my little boxing career was that when I was in the field for a few days doing my job, I always had to find the taste and strength for training, which I also enjoyed and actually managed to always distract me from my legionary life. For several years, I was in charge of training and preparing self-defense for colleagues for the Special Unit GCP 2-Rep. I was able to take part in prestigious internships right in the cradle of champions in Paris École Inter-Armées des Sports. There I participated for the first time in the Monitor Corps and Corps internship, and for a while directly on the prestigious 1-month Instructor Corps and Corps internship. It was the beginning of December '99, where I scored and ended up as a best internship major. Although I had to train for 14 days with a broken toe, the doctor wanted to send me back to 2-Rep, but it didn't work. I wanted to go to the stop and it was an honor for me to be there. I signed reverse. Another pearl of mine was that the techniques of close combat were modernized, telescopic batons came, and overall the courses were more interesting. Therefore, our internship group also had a demonstration of these new techniques. I was told to do a knife fight demonstration. Nobody told me how to do it just to do it. It wasn't a problem. I started going to Paris and actually spent all my weekends there, because I got to know the pencaksilat system, which is an Indonesian style of fighting that fascinated me so much that I immediately switched from kickboxing to it. Short movements, dynamic shots and efficiency with maximum effect were simply not to be overlooked. Machete and karambite knives were also used, with which I became very friendly. So my demonstration turned out so that all the generals had their tongues to shoes and said, "Tell us who kind of this butcher there was, and we don't want a knife in training." I'm a legionnaire, right? I remember our mission at '96, when we attacked a terrorist training center near Sarajevo, and after the Black Hawk landing, we conducted a CQB to attack a building, when I was the first to register enemies who are not armed, and so on. Nor did I use a short weapon, but I used it for active defense without a shot. That is, I stopped the barrel of the pistol on my neck, and the second I forced and lie down on the ground, my colleague controlled a third terrorist. Again, I managed to verify the use of the gradation scale of the force, and I am a supporter of it 100%. So I was noticed by police instructors who offered me another internship for an instructor for telescopic batons ASP system, USA. Batons telescopic in the Army and in special units were not yet known, and I can see that I participated in a large number of facilities for parachuting the Division of Special Units in person. Keep it handy, you have a chance to go on a mission to Mitrovica, where you could test the effectiveness of this defensive aid. During my intervention in the event, I broke the aggressive attacker's forearm, then the collarbone, and there was more. So it was a great psychical and technical experience for me, and I taken big lesson for my life. I stayed with American ASP companies for over 14 years. I was in a prestigious family with a Triumph and also Board of Examiners leaders for 4 years, which is the highest degree of appreciation and technical maturity of ASP. I had the opportunity to do seminars in the USA Las Vegas, Miami, in Portugal Tom Lisbon, in Hungary Budapest, in Poland Szczytno, Warsaw, in Spain Barcelona, in France Paris Sauterre, Fontainebleau, 2 in Prague, in the last seminar where I was selected as a seminar leader for Hong Kong in the cradle of martial arts, and when I ended my career in ASP. It's been a great time, and I still have friends with police forces around the world. I give my know-how more police officers, perhaps even through the of new instructors, in our country Czech Rep. Alone I have trained over 360 new instructors from the police, army, customs, prison services and security forces. In 2003, I left 2-Rep in Corsica, and my new activities were at 1RE in the town of Abang, where I was able to prepare for civilian life for less than 3 years. I opened a FISFO-style pencaksilat section and trained legionnaires, security and anyone interested in this best self-defense. I participated in this system at FISFO, and I was a member of this system, which I brought to the Czech Republic after my departure from the Foreign Legion as a professor of FISFO 3 Dan. I can say that my experience in the Foreign Legion allowed me to do everything I did and try out in the field, and I always gave my styles and techniques that were capable and easy to implement. So behind my effect in the Legion, I tried to enter my path of fighter and technical degrees to earn there who has, 1 Dan Kickbox ISKA, 1 Dan Kickbox FFBA, 1 Dan China Self-Defense, 3 Dan Professor FISFO, Trainer for Telescopic Batons, Trainer Instructor Corps and Corps, Close Combat, Trainer Instructor for Lethal Ammunition, Trainer Instructor for Tear Gases. If you want everything you want to accomplish, you can always be available for your views, and honestly practiced hours at the gym and field experience are proof that I survived the fight in the war. At the beginning of 2006, I returned to the Czech Republic and started a business in the field of self-defense training and security prevention. I founded the company Operational Defense Group, ODG. Since 2011 we have expanded to the International Operational Defense Group of the International Association, ODG. Continuing to pass on my experience and conducting seminars for security forces, the military and the police. USA, Portugal, Poland, France, Congo and countries in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. I made my way and set up a system of professional self-defense for the ODG Pro Defense, which I compiled according to my field experience and I give today. Since 2012, the system has also been accredited by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports with nationwide validity, and it is yours with time. In 2014, I participated in an international seminar for special components of teaching in Portugal, where I received the award of the best instructor. Today I have these certificates and weapons license of Groups B, D, E, weapons licenses of Groups C, D, F, G, H, accreditation of the Ministry of Education, self-defense, concession for the services of private detectives, concession for security of property and personal, concession for the operation of shooting ranges and sports and shooting with weapons, concessions for the purchase, sale, transportation, rental, storage of weapons and ammunition. Today, with the ODG, who is an evaluate and refer to the Legionnaires' Way. The ODG has its own code of honor, which members unite. Juniors are brought up in the spirit of a valuable person, where the basic rules are safe to code of honor, not to lie, not to steal, to keep my word, not to take drugs and to respect one family. We create valuable programs for the training of individuals and groups that prepare us for today's aggressive and dangerous times. It is naive to say that nothing can ever cost us. I am of the opinion that I would rather be prepared than surprised. I've had a lot behind me in my short 50 years and I know I'm even ahead of me. It is important to always stay on your feet, be humble and do your job, or if your hobby is always 100%, otherwise it doesn't make sense. People when they are raising children, are by leaving one day who will want to become independent and think they are the best. But I believe they will never forget their parents. Being a proud member of the ODG team is like carrying a proud family name. Who can have today the sure future? It is important to know what this fixed point is for others. What will surprise you? What are you interested in? Only awareness of safe points in the present for the future. The value of what will come in the future and what the present is aimed at gives us a chance to overcome the inconveniences that the present awaits. Stan Gazdik,